You're listening to Jazz After 9 on Friday night. My name's Neil Coligan, and there's a lot of excitement here in Winnipeg because the Western Canada Music Awards are taking place this weekend. They're going to be handed out on Sunday. This year, the Jazz Recording of the Year has a lot of entrants from Alberta, and one of those gentlemen joins me in the studio this evening. His name is Jerrold Dubyk. He has a quintet recording called Invitations, not necessarily spelled in the way that you'd expect. I think that's a bit of cheekiness on his part. But the great thing about it is it's very fine music, and you've got some great musicians there, Jerrold.
I do. I'm glad they were on the recording.
Is there something about the recording that you were trying to accomplish? This is the third outing for you, and when I was reading your bio, one thing that seemed very important was the idea of sort of progression. You're an educator where you live in Edmonton. You're you're one of those people who isn't just sort of trying to develop as an artist. I have a feeling in some ways you're also trying to educate yourself when you're out there trying to record.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. This was, I wanted to make this record. Not that the other ones weren't as personal, but this one got more personal for me. And it's kind of really about the relationships I have with various musicians and the relationships that somewhat evolve out of playing music together. At one time, I always thought about hiring my friends, which is not a bad thing, right? But then things started to change, and I started to go for hiring the right music people. And out of that, relationships and friendships came about. So that's kind of what this recording is about, is that these relationships have evolved from just playing music together in the first place.
Well, and naturally, a lot of people usually, when you're located in a particular place, they assume that you're going to work with local musicians. But you look at this project here, and you're working with a lot of people, for instance, from Vancouver.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got Brad Turner, fine piano player there. You've got Jody Prosnick, Jesse Cahill, and then, of course, someone from the United States. So I'm assuming, because you spent some time in the United States, that you actually may have come across Terrell Stafford on trumpet.
Yeah. I met Terrell in what club was it? Sweet Basil's. Or was it Sweet Basil's? I think Sweet Basil's was done by then. I can't remember what it was.
Well, it doesn't matter, really.
Anyways, Victor Lewis, the drummer, was my professor at the time, one of my professors at Rutgers. And so he invited me down to his gig one night. Sweet Rhythm, that's the name of the place.
Okay.
And so I went down, and Terrell was playing trumpet. And Terrell and I just ended up talking late into the evening and hanging out and playing a couple tunes together, and relationship kind of started. And then years later, at the high school I was teaching, we wanted to bring in a guest artist, and I'm right from the back of my head, I thought, I'm going to phone Terrell Stafford. And so he came out, and he got off the plane, and it was basically, hey, I remember you. And that's when that relationship started, and friendship grew, and brought him out again for another workshop at Grant MacEwan University. And then I said off the cuff, hey, we should do a record one day. And he said, yeah, sure. Sometimes those conversations just happen, but I actually made this one happen. So when I phoned him up and said, hey, I'm going to do this record, do you want to do it? He's like, absolutely. So, and we've been really great friends ever since. So it was great to have him on there.
Yeah, well, I've looked at his career and the various combinations of musicians he's worked with over time, and he definitely he's really out there, sort of sharing it as I'd like to say. It isn't just like I've got this tight little group and this is how we're going to be and this is my way of going about it. No, he seems very generous with his talent.
He's super generous. Yeah. He's a beautiful guy.
Yeah. Well, and it's certainly, with all the musicians you worked with here for this album, that it's really paid off for you. You've got the Jazz Recording of the Year nomination, and also tonight you are playing at Moz in the Exchange District here in town, working with some of our own best musicians from the University of Manitoba.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm nervous, but I'm excited.
Yeah, let's put it this way. If you're a visiting musician and you're looking for your backline, so to speak, I don't think you could do too wrong. You've got some great players there.
Yeah.
What's the scene like in Alberta for you, like in Edmonton, especially?
It's pretty good. We have the Yarborough Suite Jazz Club, which is very supportive of local musicians. They make sure that they feature local musicians on the weekends at least once a month, which is great. Tuesday night jam sessions are dedicated for us as well. There's always a house band, and then there's a session after. There's a new concert series put on by the Edmonton Jazz Festival, which is at a place called the Cellar Lounge, based out of the Edmonton Petroleum Club. I'm playing there later in the month, and on the 25th of October. They're very supportive. I get down to Red Deer quite often, which is an hour and a half away, and play there a few times every fall and spring. And they have a concert series, and it's pretty good, It's not too bad. Yeah.
And the provincial agency is fairly supportive?
Yeah, the Alberta Foundation for the Arts is amazing. The Edmonton Arts Council, if I was to even be a little more specific, is even more amazing. They've helped me out a lot with traveling. They helped me out with this recording. They're very, very into supporting jazz in the city.
Yeah, and it seems these days especially that jazz really can't support itself without the support of taxpayer-funded agencies,
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard,
You're not going to make it off the club gigs, that's for sure.
No. No.
Yes. Well,
I don't really know what else to say.
And that's just the reality, It's like we're not talking about mega, venue type of music here. I mean, definitely, biggest jazz artists are usually going to be singers. Working in a very populist kind of mode. You think of the people like Diana Krall, for instance. There's a huge push behind her. So when she has to delay her album because she's a little, under the weather and stuff like that, there's a lot of people affected by that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, jazz itself still seems like it's really still moving forward. You're as a jazz artist yourself, with the saxophone, with your writing, with the people that you're educating in Alberta. Do you get that feeling like that everybody's trying to bring something new into that venue?
Yeah, and I think by new, they're just trying to bring themselves into it, and they discover along the way what they like to contribute. But it's an art form unto it of itself, and that could be a reason, well, probably the reason it's a little why the market share for jazz is so small. It's a pretty serious art form. And
well, it's like when somebody paints a portrait or a painting, right? 5 out of 10 people will say, I really like that, and maybe the other 5 aren't sure.
They're not sure. I think maybe with jazz it might be 8 out of 10 who aren't sure. But that's okay. But maybe it's our jobs as musicians, jazz artists, to help those people be a little more sure.
Well, that is what we try to do.
Yeah.
Well, Jerrold, I thank you very much for stopping by. I know you're especially busy, and as we speak now, you have to go to basically a session to get ready for this evening's performance. So I wish you all the best. I wish you good luck, of course, with the nomination and the potential for taking an award. And I will speak as a homie that we are looking for our one Manitoba guide to walk away.
That's okay. That's
okay.
Good. You have to support the local.
Yeah, but I do appreciate you coming by for an interview here tonight. We're going to go tonight with a selection that you recommended. What do you want from me from your newest album, Invitations? Tell me a bit about it.
It's an up-tempo tune, and it's again based on some of those relationships that we have in our lives, where sometimes there's some frustrating moments, personally and musically, and you kind of just wonder, what do you want from me? So I just kind of wrote a tune based on that sort of question.
Okay, well, thank you very much. This is the Jerrold Dubyk Quintet with What Do You Want From Me on Classic 107.